Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, cats and kittens, dogs and fucking puppies. You already know the drill already. You already know the routine if you listen to this program. And wrestling fans everywhere. Things are looking up and up for me as far as podcasting is concerned. But in any event, looking through all this positive, especially when there's so much negativity in the world right now, with all the bullshit and all the craziness going on, with all the corruption and all kinds of ill shit that shouldn't even be fucking happening, let's try to put a smile on your face. Nonetheless, welcome to the Wrestling Enthusiast Real Talk. I'm Eric Peralta, otherwise known as the Wrestling Enthusiast. Today, we're going to take a look at WWE Backlash 2020. Was it indeed, in fact, the greatest wrestling match ever? Well, to some say, I might be surprised. And it sure did. Surprised the hell out of me. Also, we'll take a look at some wrestling news and why the fuck was Paul Heyman let go of his booking decisions and creative control? It was because Vince McMahon's being a fucking fuckwit. But in any event, let's take a look at the news. And it's obviously a big news story. With the whole situation involving Paul Heyman, but nonetheless, Vince McMahon is having a fucking fit. Having a fit, ladies and gentlemen. In any event, let's take a look at the viewership numbers for AEW and NXT from June 10th of this past Wednesday. AEW Dynamite drew 677,000 viewers with a 0.23 18 to 49 age demographic. Finished 14th for the night on cable television. WWE NXT drew 673,000 viewers with a 0.16 18 to 49 demographic, and finished about 35th in the night for cable. Cable rankings are determined by the 18 to 49 age demographic. So AEW Dynamite barely beat them by about 4,000 viewers. Well, I thought we had some sort of resurgence going on in the wrestling business, but I guess not. Well, looks like both numbers are down as far as general audience is. But I will say, we have seen some sort of good wrestling here and there. I thought AEW was better than NXT this past week. I mean, if you compare the main events between Cody and Mark Quinn from Private Party, and then you compare to Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis, which I like that match as well. That match was fun to watch. But I just think that, AEW did slightly better. We have an update regarding AEW star Chris Statlander suffered an injury update. It's unfortunate that Chris Statlander suffered a torn ACL during this past Wednesday's edition of Dynamite, and that will require some surgery. And Statlander, who tagged with Hikaru Shida in a losing effort against Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford. Statlander did go on her Twitter and say, "Since the news is out, I told you I dive on Kip again, and damn it I did. But in doing so, I ended up with a high-grade tear in my ACL. Yes, I need surgery. Yes, I'll be out of the ring for a while. I'll do my best to still show up on your TVs as much as I can." And that fucking sucks. So, best wishes to Chris Statlander. I hope she gets better. And, yeah, it's a damn shame. It's with the territory in professional wrestling. So, yeah, that's very unfortunate. Alexa Bliss locked her Twitter account this past weekend. She recently put her Twitter account on private due to harassing messages from wrestling fans. Bliss noted that someone has been trying to access her password since her account became private. Bliss has also been dealing with negative comments from fans on Instagram. And, this goes back to what I've said about the Hana Kimura situation. So let's see. Because I don't think Alexa Bliss is that bad of a woman. I just don't think she is. There may be some kinks that she has to work on, but I think she's doing pretty decent. I think she's doing a good job. So anyway, so this fucking idiot, let me see his username, God Leafy God. He says, unquote, and I'm speaking verbatim. There we go. Much appropriate for the kids. Alexa Bliss, better cover up. No one wants to see your 60-year-old face and body. Come on now, let's be a bit more respectful. She says, leave me alone. And then this fucking idiot goes, guess what? You treated me like shit when I was a fan. Dedicated myself as a fan for nearly 5 years, but seeing it as of late, you've been liking the same fans over and over again. I'm sick of this shit. Do you not know how mentally damaged you did to me? If you actually appreciated me as a fan, I wouldn't be the person I would have turned out to be today. Think about it. I don't know. I think you're a fucking mental case, you cunt. So anyway, this shit continues on in the messaging, and then I guess he responded to him and says, ha, not even close. Please get a new hobby other than stalking my life and making up stories that are galaxies away from being accurate. Thank you. And someone named the Guy Abetis, kind of fucking stupid. What kind of stupid, dumb name is that? He goes, quote, you can't even tell the truth about dating Ryan. Didn't you say you wasn't dating him God knows how many times? Making out that people were lying, even claiming that rumors were quote-unquote false, but now he's living with you? LOL. So not everything you say is exactly truthful, hypocrite. And this fucking idiot says, oh shit, Alexa Bliss, you just got roasted. I will have to side on this one on that one. So Bliss sent out the following tweets in recent days. She said, I'm fine, just tired of the harassment, focusing on my mental health at the moment. Everyone stay being kind out there. And I think Nikki Cross just asked if she was okay. And she says, yeah, I guess she just a little pictogram said, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. That's a little pictogram there. Someone says, if anyone in my followers have taken even the slightest part in the harassment of Alexa Bliss, you can get the hell out and you can do it right now. I don't care whether or not you like her on TV character. Bliss is a strong, determined, talented, and beautiful woman. Well, okay. You know, this is why I don't like going on Twitter. There's a lot of people that are fucking full of shit. And I think that these dumb dicks apparently don't know how to fucking act like decent human beings. And they just want to get on Twitter just so they can fucking harass their favorite fucking celebrity. What? I mean, this is what took Hana Kimura's life. And, you know, the cyberbullying is continuing to run rampant. So, you know, fuck these people that claim to be wrestling fans, and then they start talking a lot of shit about some of the wrestlers that are... Who gives a fuck about their damn... Who gives a shit about their fucking relationships? I don't care. They can fuck whoever they want to fuck. That doesn't bother me. Now, I noticed this seemed to be happening to everybody. Whether you're famous or not. Or if you're just fucking... Whether he's famous for being a Hollywood movie actor or actress, a high-performing athlete, although some of them, they get a bit egotistical, especially if they're making $40 million a year. But if they're cool, then don't hate on them. I mean, don't hate on them at all, but, you know, I'm pretty sure most of them are cool. That's not the point. But, you know, if they're on-screen characters inside a show, and they're decent human beings, but they like to be secret, and they don't want to expose their livelihoods, you know, because, you know, they're always busy working wherever the fuck they're working, whether in the wrestling ring or in a fucking television program. Who gives a shit who they're seeing? Who gives a shit what they're doing? As long as it's not demeaning. As long as they're not being assholes. But they still fuck with them. They still fuck with them all the time. And they're still being fucking assholes. Now, I've seemed to have noticed this in the past couple of years. I never made a Twitter. I made one recently, but I don't get too much emphasis into it. I don't give a fuck about Twitter. At least not give a fuck about it enough until I get a proper following here. And then if I start shaping everything up, then I already shit because, like I said, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Twitter. I just don't like it. But in any event, I've noticed a lot of people on Twitter are complete fucking dickholes. And they're just fucking... Cyberbullying is rampant on Twitter. It's partially rampant on Facebook. But it's also semi-rampant on Instagram as well. But most of the harassment comes in the form of Twitter. So fuck these fucking bullshitters, these fucking dickless cocksuckers that make fun of these people. But now I'm not just talking about these fucking Twitter bullies. I'm now talking to the founder of Twitter. Yes, I'm talking to you, Jack Dorsey. You fucking degenerate programming software designer fucking cocksucking motherfucker. Yes, I'm giving you hate because you don't control this shit well enough. Just like that piece of shit Mark Zuckerberg. You make $4.6 million and yet you don't fucking do anything in your time to fucking invest in your company to make it work for the better. Why the fuck should I respect you, you fucking turd-faced piece of shit? Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, and that's Zuckerberg with an S. Fuck him too. It's a fucking putz. Twitter and twatter. Yeah, the reason why you call it Twitter is because you're a half-wit and you're a fucking twit and you're a twat at the same time. Because you wanted to mix a twit and a twat and you couldn't even fucking do it. That's why you made it Twitter. Twitter, twatter, Twitter, patter. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about you or Noah Glass or Biz Stone or Evan Williams. I don't give a shit about you. And no, I'm not talking about the Evan Williams, the whiskey founder. I'm talking about that piece of shit that partially owns Twitter. Fucking rich cocksucker. Why don't you contribute to anti-cyberbullying and get the fuck out of my face? Son of a bitch. So very briefly, I want to talk about the Paul Heyman situation. I found out about this on Thursday, and I was fucking pissed. Now, concerning Paul Heyman, I could tell Paul Heyman has a smart mind, at least a smart business mind. I mean, that he could actually accumulate through so he could make money. But not only make money, but also be creative. But what I do not understand, because this is not a Paul Heyman thing. This was something that was strictly done by Vince McMahon, because I seem to have noticed that there seems to be some sort of nepotism going towards Bruce Pritchard's way. Now, I'm gonna bear in mind with you on that. I don't hate Bruce Pritchard. I've actually kind of like him because he has this old school rhetoric where he's been writing wrestling events or actually doing some actual booking from the early 2000s all the way until 2008 or 2009. Right before the PG era, the shit PG era that I truly hate. Once I known about him, I heard he's a pretty clever guy in the booking department, so he seemed to be knowing what he's doing. But ever since he came back in September of last year, I've noticed that he's been back and he's been doing the same. But I noticed he doesn't get the last word. Vince McMahon always does. And when Paul Heyman got hired in June 2019, pretty much Paul Heyman was the one that fucking... But then Vince McMahon gets the last word. So I'm just minding my own business on Thursday, and then I find out that a news story here that happened on Thursday, and it said this: WWE made the following announcement. In an effort to streamline our creative writing process for television, we have consolidated both teams from Raw and SmackDown into one group led by Bruce Pritchard. Paul Heyman will concentrate on his role as an in-ring performer. Heyman was first announced as the executive director of Raw in June of 2019. So Paul Heyman is no longer the creative director. I already said that whatever happened with Paul Heyman doing his booking, I gave him some credit because he always booked a lot of these young talents to come in, and he's always booked them to be superstars. And he wanted to create future stars. He always wanted to push Cedric Alexander. He always wanted to push Ricochet. He always wanted to push Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. He always wanted to push the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. Now they're fucking wrestling for the opposition. Yes, he wanted to push Asuka and Kairi Sane. Yes, he wanted to push Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Yes, he wanted to push Akira Tozawa. Yes, he wanted to push all these new guys, especially the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders. He wanted to get pushed because they know that they have fucking potential great wrestling abilities here. These guys are potential great athletes. But Vince McMahon always shat on them. Especially that stupid fucking wild card rule that they did. And every time they used the wild card rule, the only ones that were always using it was either Kevin Owens, which is fine, but then they always kept giving it to Shane McMahon and The Miz and Elias and Drew McIntyre. It was fucking redundant. And it was stupid. And the ratings suffered because of that. Now, because Paul Heyman was gone, here comes cranky old Vince McMahon. I'm now having Bruce Pritchard to be in charge of Raw and SmackDown. So basically what he did, since Paul Heyman is no longer being the creative director of Raw, supposedly Vince McMahon reportedly made changes to the television product already, and Raw in particular, and noted that Vince put up with some of Paul's ideas for a while, but then Vince would kill off so many good ideas, and anyone who has watched Vince and Paul's interactions knew that this arrangement was not going to last very long. Paul seemed stressed out around Vince. And, supposedly there was a report that Vince McMahon made creative changes to several Backlash matches, and at least one finish had been changed. Most of the changes were said to be on the Raw brand. McMahon reportedly understands that the COVID-19 pandemic is a factor in TV viewership declining, but also doesn't feel that the people Heyman were pushing are going to move numbers regardless. So a big shakeup could end up taking place in the next few weeks, as previously reported, and there could be a roster consolidation with more brand crossover appearances. So this is gonna probably be the Wild Card Part 2. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do. Congratulations, Vince McMahon. I officially don't like you anymore. You're a piece of shit. So, Vince, it was nice knowing you, and arrivederci, and thank you very much, but fuck you too. You fucking mierda-faced piece of shit. You fucking stack of pile of no good monkey shit. Fuck you. Okay, so main event story today is the review of Backlash from 2020. And, of course, this heavily promoted greatest wrestling match ever. So will it live up to its hype? Well, let's take a look at a few things here, first of all. The undercard of the matchup, and the way this show started was supposed to be for the United States Championship between Apollo Crews and Andrade. I was thinking to myself, Andrade was going to win the title back because since I told about the rumors earlier about Vince McMahon getting rid of Paul Heyman as a creative writer and a booker, and they ended up giving it to Bruce fucking Pritchard. But anyway, I think I've already explained what happened. So you see Zelina Vega and Angel Garza come out along with Andrade. Apollo Crews comes out. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Owens comes out of nowhere and he joins the commentary team. So obviously there's going to be some interference in this matchup, but it's probably going to be by ways of both Zelina Vega and Angel Garza. But I guess Kevin Owens here is, I guess he's evening the outcome, so to say. So anyway, I can't really say I hate the match. I think it was good. I just didn't think it was too noteworthy, though. But I thought it was a bit of predictability in this matchup. But there was a moment in the match where I saw Crews hit a face buster and then made a cover, and it was just some basic wrestling and shit. A couple of near falls over. Apollo gets a couple of suplexes, then Andrade flips over and lands on his feet. He is very good. And it shows a lot of wrestling ability, but also as well, there's some agility. Two very agile wrestlers, and Andrade, he's in the middle of the match. They started beating down on Apollo Crews and give him a tree of woe, and then it gives him a double stomp. It's kind of like basic moves, somewhat. But then Andrade ended up charging him on Apollo Crews, but then Crews ended up giving a suplex to Andrade into the corner. And then Apollo hits a spine buster, gets a near fall. Apollo tries to go for the Olympic slam, but then Andrade blocks it. So anyway, right a little bit towards the end of the match, Crews tries to follow up with a standing moonsault and a standing shooting star press, but then Garza ended up hopping onto the apron and tried to distract Apollo. And then here comes Kevin Owens, and he leaves a commentary booth. And then he pulls Garza off the apron, then hits a stunner on the floor to remove him out of the equation. So Apollo hits Andrade with his toss sit-out powerbomb, and then that's it. A 3 count. And Apollo Crews, surprisingly to my surprise, I don't doubt his ability. To my surprise, Apollo Crews retains the title, and he's still United States champion. And this match was 6 out of 10. It was above average. It's just above average at best. But it was a short event, but it was a kickoff match, so you're not expecting too much of a masterpiece. There's very rare occurrences that a kickoff show would be better than some matchups in the main card, especially the ones on pay-per-view, nonetheless. Okay, so now we're on to the main card. The pay-per-view starts, and we get introduced to the commentary team, and here comes Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And you know what I seem to notice? Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross seem to come out first during these tag team title matches and shit. But then again, I think it's just me. That's probably just me. But whatever. It's a minor thing to talk about. So Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Bliss Cross Applesauce against the Iconics and the champion Bayley and Sasha Banks. Now, of course, Bayley being Bayley Doe Straps, she was definitely, she was definitely a workhorse in this matchup. So was Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. I think they did a great job. Nikki Cross came out as the craziest one. And the Iconics looked a little green. But, I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you get improved. I mean, for God's sake, they haven't been used since forever. I mean, how long has it been since we last seen the Iconics on Raw or SmackDown? I think it was like 5 months, I believe, since November. So, and that was when we were under normal circumstances. So, fuck. But anyway, the match was good. We see a lot of crisp tags here, and then a lot of triple threat wrestling going on. You know, for when it started off with Bayley, Nikki, and Billie Kay. And then right away they started the match. Then Bliss and Alexa and then Sasha, they both get quick tags. Then every single participant started staring down each other in the middle of the ring. And then the fighting started beginning with a little bit of crucifixion here with a little bit of quick roll-ups. And there was a lot of near falls in the first 2 minutes. A lot of fucking near falls. I think that was a bit overkill in my opinion, but whatever. I'm not complaining too much about it. I mean, I'd rather have a bunch of... I want to have the participants start rolling up for near falls, whether at any point of the matchup, whether it's in the beginning, the middle, or the end of the match. I'd rather have them start rolling up and do it in multiple times than for them to do fucking nothing in the match. But anyway, a little bit, if we could get a little bit towards the match, in the middle towards the match, I believe Peyton Royce was attacking Nikki Cross, and for some stupid reason, Bayley was going to tag in. No, actually, Sasha Banks actually tried to tag in Bayley. And then the referee didn't see it, and she backed her up in the corner and told her that she didn't see no tag. So then she goes back into her corner, and Sasha retries the tag, and then she's tagged in. Now, I think, to my opinion, that was a referee botch. I don't know what the fuck that was about, but that was pretty stupid on the referee's part to fuck up right there. I mean, look, the referee is just as important as any participant in a matchup. I don't hate on them. I think they're great. It's just that, there's a bit of coordination issue right there. But, I mean, that was a botch. But, the matchup was good. A little bit towards the end of the match where Bliss started to connect with a double crossbody to Bayley and Peyton Royce. That was a nice little spot. Bayley tried to create a little bit of space and try to make a tag to Sasha. And then once they started fighting outside, Peyton Royce tried to roll Sasha Banks back into the ring. Peyton and Billie Kay, they double teamed on Sasha, but then here comes Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and they prevent the pinfall and they stop the pin. Then Alexa and Nikki hit Billie Kay with a modified 3D, which looked a little awkward at first, but then it was actually executed decently. Alexa heads up top, and she hit the Twisted Bliss. But then here comes Sasha charging into the ring, and then rolled up Alexa Bliss for the 3 count, and before you know it, Sasha and Bayley retained their tag team titles. And it was a good match. It was 6.5. It wasn't that bad. I thought it was good. There was just a little bit of weirdness going on with the referee situation there with her and Bayley, but I think there was just some sort of miscommunication in the ring. But in any event, that was a fuck up on their part, but not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so next matchup is Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. And watching SmackDown in the past 2 weeks, we knew there was going to be some sort of rivalry going on here. But judging from what I'm seeing here, after I saw this match, I said to myself, this shit's going to continue on until at least Extreme Rules. We know there's going to be another rivalry going on at SummerSlam, if we have a SummerSlam. But I know there's going to be some other bullshit that's going to be happening, so who the fuck knows? Okay, so the match Sheamus immediately takes Hardy to the mat with a side headlock kick. And, a headlock takedown. I think that's what it was, actually. He tried to rub his face into the mat. And Hardy tried to scramble back on his feet and locks in a side headlock. But Sheamus tried to power through it and work over Hardy in the court. I didn't like this match, to be honest with you. But I'm not trying to be biased. This matchup was just average, in my opinion. I mean, there was one point in the match where Sheamus hit a modified swinging side slam, and that looked sloppy. I mean, it didn't look good. It just looked like there was a bit of a fuck up there. Another point in the match where Jeff Hardy was fighting back, and then Sheamus connected him with a running knee shot to the head. But again, only got a 2 count in this match. Sheamus goes back to the headlock, and then Hardy fights to his feet. Hits a back suplex. Sheamus leveled Hardy, and he gave him a clothesline and then heads up to the top. Sheamus goes up for a diving clothesline for the top, but Hardy ended up sidestepping him. Jeff Hardy ended up heading to the top and then hit a whisper in the ring and gets a near fall out of the whole thing. So it seemed like he was hitting him with any type of finisher. Especially ever since Sheamus hit the white noise and a little bit further towards the match, and he kicked out at 2. Sheamus tried to lock in the cloverleaf, and then Jeff Hardy tried to make it to the ropes and then forced a break. Sheamus draped Hardy into the top rope and then hit that one maneuver. What is it called? The 10. Oh God, what is that fucking move called? I think it's called the 10 beats. 10 beats of Badrim, or 10 beats of Badram, some fucking shit. But anyway, Jeff Hardy gets him a twist of fate. Hardy heads up top and hits a swanton bomb, and you think it was over. But Sheamus got his foot in the rope. So they started fighting outside, and Hardy tried to take a dive off a barricade towards Sheamus, but Sheamus ended up hitting him with a bro kick in midair. Once Sheamus rolled Jeff back into the ring, he stands him up and hits another bro kick, and Sheamus is victorious. And sorry, I just don't care for the result. I don't care for the booking decision in this matchup. I just don't care. I just really didn't like this match. I mean, I'm sorry. It wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, it was average. So I'm saying it's meh. 5.5 out of 10. And for a match that lasted 17 minutes, Jesus, I wasn't really too intrigued. And I'm not hating. I mean, I got nothing against Jeff and I got nothing against Sheamus. But I have a feeling that these guys could have done more. I mean, to me, Jeff Hardy is always the workhorse in his matches. Sheamus works a bit stiff. But what I mean by that, I meant like by his moveset's a bit basic. He needs to work on a couple more moves. I mean, I like the fact he tried to put this cloverleaf type maneuver on Jeff Hardy and make him submit, but I think there could have been much more shit going on in his arsenal. I mean, I would just got to think about what he could do there. He's a powerhouse, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I just think that they could fucking book him up with so much better shit than this. Anyway, so yeah, Sheamus wins, and I have a feeling that this feud's going to last at least until Extreme Rules. Okay, Raw Women's Championship match. The champion Asuka taking on Nia Jax. Now, here's my warning. I said that I believe in the last podcast or the last 2 weeks in my podcast, I said if Nia Jax were to fucking win this matchup and win the women's title, I would fucking not only turn off the fucking TV, but I would also fucking cancel my WWE Network subscription. Because, I mean, it just showcased nepotism in my eyes, because I think, you can't reward somebody who is not only a bad worker, And no, nothing personal. I mean, she just needs to polish her skills a bit. That way she could work in a way where she is more flexible. But, you know, if she's not going to get that appropriate amount of training, and yet you're going to book her as a champion, whoever the fuck the bookers are the fucking pieces of shit. Now, for this case, luckily, that didn't happen. The match was good. I'm glad it ended up, well, no, actually, I take that back. The match was not good. It looked like Nia Jax was just overpowering her. Asuka tried her damnedest best to make it look like a fucking wrestling match. I mean, I just saw the way how Jax just lifts her up like nothing, giving her a fucking powering out like nothing. Asuka has given her at least 2 fucking octopus headlocks, and it didn't even fucking phase her. I mean, now she's like booked like she's not. They're fucking basically booking Nia Jax like she's the fucking Big Show in the women's division, where there's many more talented women back there that could actually get a fucking run with the title. I gotta be honest with you though, the way they're fucking booking her, they're making her way too overpowering. In this case, the way she was fighting back, because Asuka really tried to make a match out of this. I mean, she really tried to make it work. But knowing how WWE's booking is, I just had low expectations. Now, here's what surprised me the most. What surprised me is that this matchup ended in a double countout. So it was a no contest. Asuka automatically retained her title in this outcome. And apparently Asuka ended up getting the last laugh as she ended up fucking knocking Jax out with a roundhouse kick. So she hit one more hip attack off the apron for good measure just to knock Nia Jax on her ass and then fucking knock her back down. So I mean, you could tell, I mean, I just didn't want to be the fucking result, but something tells me because the rumor had it that, of course, remember what I said, Vince McMahon getting rid of Paul Heyman, obviously altering the results of the Backlash results. So, yeah, you fucking moron. But anyway, a no contest is better than than Nia Jax winning this match. I mean, that would have been pure bullshit. Okay. So, with that, we move on to the next match. And now we're heading to the 2-on-1 handicap match for the Universal title. Braun Strowman taking on The Miz and John Morrison. Why are they, first of all, when they enter the ring, why are they playing this fucking music video? I mean, we saw this shit on the pre-show. Why are they playing this shit again? To me, this seemed like a fucking waste of time. Miz is just a fucking douche. John Morrison, I like the guy, but let me be honest with you. He's a fuck. They're trying to look like Hall and Oates in this fucking music video that they did, talking shit about Braun Strowman. But in reality, it actually sounds like trying to sound like a 2020 version of Boy George. But, you know, that's just my opinion. It's just a more shittier version of New Kids on the Block. But anyway, I digress. Braun Strowman comes out, intervenes in the music video, and he comes out all pissed off. So the match starts, and oh boy. Here's my thoughts. John Morrison was the workhorse in this match. The Miz still sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen some improvements. He's a hypeable guy. And what I mean by hypeable, I mean, because he used to be in reality television. He was never really a professional wrestler. And for some reason, he's now an A-lister in Hollywood. Give me a fucking break. Fucking twerp. Anyway, I know that's gimmick. I mean, even as much as shit I would talk about him, or as The Miz, as much shit as I would talk, I have seen improvements. I mean, I have seen his work ethic be a little bit better. So I do give him the benefit of the doubt that, yeah, he was a former WWE champion. Yes, he was a former multi-intercontinental champion. Yes, he was a former United States champion, multi-tag team champion. Yes, I give him credit for credit's due. But, I mean, and yes, I am going to say that, yeah, he has been improving in his in-ring ability. So, I'll give him credit to where credit is fucking due. I just think he still sucks. That's all it is. Braun Strowman, he's a big, heavy dude. He ain't going to move that much. It's not going to be impossible to make a wrestling match out of him. Ain't going to see too many 5-star matches out of him coming around. No disrespect. So, he's a good goddamn brawler, though. He could fight. He knows how to fight in this fucking in around like no DQ matches and shit like that. He has that aggression. But the problem is they keep booking him in these traditional wrestling matches that he doesn't fucking belong in. And yes, I'm going to shit on this match because this match was the shit. And not the worst. I mean, it's not 0 or 1 or 2 levels, but it's flirting around the 3 territory. This match is a 4.5 out of 10. I'll just say that. Because at least John Morrison tried to make it a match out of this. I mean, I could get into details, but, you know, if you watch the fucking match, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that this match sucks. So, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that. I mean, it smelled like a... It smelled like a fucking fart stench out of a fucking garbage pile. You could tell something wasn't right about it in there. You could tell it's just fucking shitty, and it just didn't work. So I just find it more annoying than hearing a cat getting his anal glands cleaned. So it's just fucking. I don't care about this match that much. I mean. I'll tell you how the match ended. The match ended like this: when The Miz headed up the top, they tried to connect with a diving double axe handle. Not a basic move, but it's not too fancy. Morrison got a tag in, and then Miz and Morrison tried to hit a skull-crushing finale / stomp combination. Morrison tried to cover Strowman, and then The Miz tried to pull out John Morrison. Then he realized, I should have not done that. Here, go ahead and pin him. He grabs his fucking leg and then he pins him back in. 1, 2, Strowman kicks out. So Strowman took advantage of the situation, chokeslammed The Miz, and before hitting Morrison with a running power slam, he gets a 3 count. What a fucking what a fucking dumb match. I mean, it was dumb. 4.5 out of 10, that's how I took it. And the match wasn't even that long either. It was roughly around 8 minutes around there. I mean, that's kind of a bit of a saving grace, but with the abilities that John Morrison has, and the power and strength and the fighting ability that Braun Strowman has, and The Miz, you would figure that they would make a match out of this. John Morrison tried. We couldn't do it. I'll give him credit to him trying, but it just couldn't happen. All right. WWE Championship match. The next match is Drew McIntyre, the champion, against Bobby Lashley, and bringing out MVP with him. Now, Before the match was to start, MVP gets in Lashley's face before the match begins, and then Lashley used the distraction to lock in a full Nelson and jumped him from behind before the bell could even ring. It took about 4 or 5 referees to pull them apart, because it kind of looked like it was like a small pull apart. It took 4 or 5 officials to break them apart. Took a little bit of time for Drew McIntyre to recover, and McIntyre went in and said, okay, start the match. And Lashley immediately continued to start working with him. I mean, I like the way he started this match. I mean, that was a very aggressive move. And on top of that, he actually made this into a wrestling match. So I actually like this match. Bobby Lashley, a little bit midway towards the match, Lashley lifted McIntyre onto his shoulders, then dumped him onto the ground. But it was done in a sloppy way. I mean, I think that was a botch. It didn't look good. I mean, it could have potentially landed on his shoulder awkwardly. It could have torn his patella muscle or his clavicle. It could have been disastrous. But it didn't. Luckily, it wasn't, and it was totally fine. Lashley tried to take McIntyre down, but then McIntyre used Bobby Lashley's momentum, then launched him into the barricade. McIntyre ended up suplexing Lashley on the outside before heading back into the ring. McIntyre hit a big boot, but it's not a Claymore kick, but it was a boot. And it didn't take Lashley off his feet for some reason. He just kept standing and staggering. McIntyre then went up to the top rope, and then he leveled Lashley with a running clothesline, and I thought that was pretty good. Drew hit a spine buster, then rolled into a jackknife pin for a near fall. I think with a man with the size of Drew McIntyre, with his size to pull that shit off, I was impressed. But it's kind of hard to tell who was the workhorse in this match, but it looked like to me Drew McIntyre was just slightly over Bobby Lashley. Lashley looked good in this match, but I think there could have been a little bit more. But in any event, McIntyre tried to get a reverse Alabama Slammer for a 2 count, but then Bobby Lashley locked in a crossface, and then McIntyre started fighting back to his feet. It looked like he was going to counter into a tombstone, but it didn't happen. And then Lashley counted into an ankle lock, so it turned it into an ankle lock. McIntyre kicked Lashley to break the ankle, but Lashley immediately locked in a Kimura. So then Drew escaped and head up top, and then McIntyre hit a suplex from the top rope and landed on Bobby Lashley, but he couldn't make the cover. So Drew, he went for a Claymore, but then Lashley countered it into a spear. And once he got into a spear, here comes Lana out of nowhere from the back. And I said to myself, what the fuck took her so long to come out? But anyway, Lana made her way down into the ring, and she went into the ringside area, climbed up the fucking apron for no apparent reason, almost like she was distracting him. Drew headbutt Lashley, and Lashley accidentally knocked Lana off the apron. Lashley got distracted by Lana, and that's all McIntyre needed to get the Claymore kick, and then boom, pinned him out. One of those typical finishes. One of those fucking typical finishes for Lana to come out and then take a bump. Then she ended up taking another bump after it missed a spear, and then she ended up bumping into MVP as well. So it knocked both of them down, and that was enough of an opportunity for Drew McIntyre to pin, to Claymore kick Bobby Lashley, give him 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, we were in this segment that was coming up. By the way, I rated the match 7 out of 10. Not bad. It was good. It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. The next segment, we were supposed to be talking about the Raw Tag Team Championship match between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. But when they mentioned about it on the commentators, they end up heading towards the back and they start fighting in the parking lot. And before their match starts, They all started slamming each other, and then they accidentally broke Braun Strowman's windshield. It's like the second fucking time in a row, or maybe at the third time. So they flee to the backstage area, and then they continue to fight. Street Profits grab golf clubs, Viking Raiders grab shields and axes, and then a bowling ball. Street Profits run down the hallway look like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, and then plead with the Viking Raiders to settle this without weapons. So they all put their weapons on the ground and then immediately began to brawl again. Then once they started fighting each other, Ivar rolled to the bowling ball towards a Montez Ford and then picks up a 7-10 split, right, and then rolls a strike into his balls. Right in Montez's dingleberries, if you know what I mean. Ivar went to go check on Eric, but then Dawkins speared Eric through the window. So then they started debating each other, and then they all started getting towards each other. Suddenly, a group of ninjas on motorcycles pull up, and it's Akira Tozawa. And, what the fuck am I watching? So the Street Profits and Viking Raiders turn into the Street Raiders or the Viking Prophets. I don't know what the fuck. But, so Tozawa summoned the ninjas. Suddenly he's a heel all of a sudden, and he has ninjas backing him up. This looked like a bad Power Ranger fight. That's what this looked like. So the brawl ended up... Eric slammed Ivar onto a ninja on top of a car. The ninjas are easily defeated. Tozawa summoned one more really tall ninja. Ivar tried to call for a turkey leg, and it flies to him like a Jedi Knight using the Force to get his fucking lightsaber. The giant ninja pulls out a sword, and Street Profits and the Viking Raiders flee to the top of the truck, and they end up going down. And end up going on top of the fucking truck. By the way, who the fuck was that tall ninja? I can only take one guess. Babatunde! That was fucking Babatunde! The 7'3" giant Nigerian Polish wrestler that they never fucking use. Why? And I've seen him at an NXT live event in Riverside back in February, 1 month before the pandemic hit. And let me tell you something, he's a big, bad motherfucker. So why aren't they fucking using him? What the fuck did he do wrong to rub someone the wrong way to not get him pushed? Wow, even Triple H has some explaining to do on that one. Okay, but I'm getting carried away. So he plays a fucking tall-ass giant ninja, pulls out a big, tall-ass giant sword. He fucking makes the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders cower. Wow, that's something I never seen heels do, cower. But anyway, the alliance breaks down once they escape the ninja danger, and then they all began to brawl on top of a truck. They all fall off to the dumpster, and they all fall into a dumpster, and suddenly they hear a rumbling from the bottom of the dumpster, and holy crap, it's an alligator. Is that a fucking alligator? And that's it. What the fuck? After that shit, we just head to a commercial for www.shop.com. What the fuck did we watch? Can someone explain to me what the fuck I just watched? I don't understand it. Why did it have to be all cinematic? I mean, when you're baffled through the mind, you know it was a clusterfuck to begin with. And I mean, it's not nowhere near the level of Firefly Funhouse match type shit, where it's a completely is a complete wrestling match that has the same reaction as when you're taking opium rectally. But in any event, I don't know. The match never happened. That's not even a rating. It's not even. There's no opinion. I have no opinion on that. No fucking opinion. Let's just leave it like that. Okay, now it's the moment of truth. We have Edge versus Randy Orton in a match that's described as the greatest wrestling match ever. And I knew it was not going to be nothing like that. I said to myself, this is not going to be like that. It might be a great match, but I don't think it's going to be the greatest ever. So, will they prove me wrong? Let's see. Now, there is some notifications from the commentators that they said that WWE is adding enhanced crowd noise to this match, as it wasn't fair the fact that no crowd would be able to enjoy this type of match like this. So it's only fair to add atmosphere. Charles Robinson, the referee, is wearing an old school WWF referee uniform, just like it was in the 80s and the early part of the 90s. The ring announcements were played by recordings of the late Howard Finkel's voice, which included Edge and Randy Orton's intros. And that was a nice little sentimental touch, I guess. You know, I mean, there's a bit of nostalgia to it, so... Okay. So here we go. Edge caught Randy Orton with 2 deep arm drags in the beginning of the match, and Orton locks in a body scissors, then dumps Edge to the outside. Edge heads back into the ring, and Orton tries to whip him into the corner, but then Edge slides under the bottom rope to avoid an impact. Orton then heads to the outside, but eats a big boot. They head back into the ring once again, and then Edge locks in an arm bar. Orton tries to break free, and then locks in a rear wrist lock. And Edge try to flip Orton into a headlock, and then Orton gets his legs under him, muzzles Edge to the corner, and stomps on Edge's foot. And I said to myself, wow, they're actually really trying to make this into a fucking wrestling match. Because they're actually using some in-ring ability that I haven't seen in years. Not that standing around bullshit. I'm actually seeing some actual grappling and wrestling and collar elbow tie-ups and some fucking wrist locks and shit. I'm actually seeing some wrestling. So that surprised me. So, a little bit towards the match... once Edge started getting his foot stomped, Edge started and Orton started fighting, and they head up to the top. But then Edge headbutts Orton into the apron, and then the headbutt busted Orton open, and he's bleeding more than we've seen in the last couple of years. So we got some blood in this match. That's one. I hate to sound animalistic, but let me reiterate this for a minute. This is professional wrestling. It's like a fight sport. Not fake. Maybe simulated. Simulated fighting, for that matter. But it's not fake. Certain elements of this shit is not fake. I mean, if you were to say, oh, I could do this. No, you can't. So that's why I fucking stay home and watch it. These are some tough bastards. So anyway. My saying is that if in a wrestling match, you're obviously going to see some blood. Naturally. because someone's going to be cut open, busted open by either a punch, kick, or a hit on the ring apron or the post or whatever. Some type of thing is going to happen where it's going to bust them open, whether it's on purpose or by accident. And you know for a fact, sometimes that shit happens. And when that shit happens, there's nothing you can do to prevent that. So, why is this PG bullshit trying to convince them that, oh, well, it's PG, we must clean out the blood? Fuck you. Leave the fucking blood there. I know it's not, just because, and then the fucking network television companies, fuck you guys, because blood naturally happens in fight sports. You guys don't bitch about it when UFC does it. So why are you bitching about it and when they do it in professional wrestling? Stupid fuck. Anyway. So anyway, a little bit towards in this match, Edge driven his knee into Orton's gut and a side Russian leg sweep, locks in a crossface, and then Edge goes for an anti-venom submission. And then there was a moment where Orton dragged Edge to see if he could do an Eddie Guerrero Three Amigos. But then he only hit the first two suplexes. Edge ended up blocking the third, and then he reversed it, and then Edge ended up giving an Eddie Guerrero tribute, and then he ended up giving him a Three Amigos on Randy Orton. And once they get back on their feet, Orton tried to duck a chop before connecting with a standing drop kick. Then they started fighting on the outside once again. And you know what? One thing I love about this match, and yes, I am going to say what I'm going to say, but just give me a minute. One thing I do love about this match, they used every part of the ring area. They went through every single part of the inside the ring. They used as much maneuvers as they possibly can, and anything that they know from an old school style wrestling match. And they did whatever they could. They made anything they did to make it a wrestling match, and a good one at that. So under the pressure where they said that this is the greatest wrestling match ever, you would have to be convinced that this would be a great fucking match. But I'll explain more in a minute. Once Edge landed a kick to the head and then heads back to the top of Randy Orton, Orton tries to go for a draping DDT and from the top turnbuckle, nonetheless. Edge countered to an execution, which is something I haven't seen him do in a while. There was a near fall. Edge waits for Orton to get back into his feet and hits a running knee shot. Edge lands another knee shot and then a basement elbow shot for another 2 count, which had a lot of near falls in this matchup, but they were rightfully placed. And if you see what I'm talking about, once a little bit towards, and let me say this, towards the end, like the last 10 minutes of this match, and I say the last 10 minutes because this match lasted almost a fucking hour. This match lasted at least, I'm going to say 45 minutes. Yes, this was a long fucking match, but it was good. It was good. It had a lot of physicality in a wrestling match. And yes, as much as I said, I have criticized the WWE for not producing to what they say and not giving us broken promises left and right. This was a promise that I will say was semi-broken, but semi-not broken. Orton got back into his feet and then hits Kurt Angle's Olympic slam. Well, like an angle slam. Gets a near fall. Orton whips Edge to the ropes and goes for a drop kick, but then Edge catches the legs and counters into a sit-out powerbomb, near fall. Orton then back body drops Edge to the outside. Edge climbs back up onto the apron, and it looked like it hurt him. Walked right into Orton's draping DDT, and it looked like it fucked up his trapezius muscle, which I'll get back to that in a minute. Orton goes for an RKO, but then Edge counters into an Edge-O-Matic, which is something I haven't seen in a while. 2 count, near fall. Edge goes for a spear. Orton evades. Then Edge turns and catches him with a Christian's Unprettier. 2 count. Orton then dumps Edge ribs first onto the top rope and then follows up with Triple H's pedigree. 2 count. Edge then gets back to his feet and pulls Orton into a rock bottom 2 count. Edge goes for a sharpshooter, just like Bret Hart. But then Orton ended up kicking him away, and Edge goes for a backside pin, 2 count. Orton lands an uppercut and goes for another draping DDT, but then Edge gets dropped off the apron and then dumps Orton neck first onto the top rope. Edge slides back into the ring, but eats an RKO out of nowhere, 2 count. And then this is a little bit towards the end of the match. Orton goes for a skull punt, but Edge countered into a spear. And then he hit another spear. 2 fucking spears and a 2 count. Orton whips Edge into the corner. And then Edge hops up onto the second rope, dives back towards Orton, and then catches a mid-air RKO out of nowhere. And yet another 2 count. I was just exhausted, like watching these near falls taking place, because they literally hit every fucking finisher that they could possibly think of. And then they started hitting lots of maneuvers from paying homage to a lot of great wrestlers. You know, they paid an homage to Eddie Guerrero, to Bret Hart, to Triple H, and to The Rock. And at the final moment, Edge locked into an anti-venom submission, and Randy Orton just lands a sneaky little low blow, and they try to break free. The referee supposedly didn't see it. So Orton hits a skull punt, and then that's it. He finally pins him. So, well, you're probably wondering what the rating of this match is going to be for me. Okay. I'm going to say 9. 9 out of 10. The one thing, it's not the greatest wrestling match ever, but I will say this was a lot better than their WrestleMania encounter. Way better. And here's the thing, if this was in front of a full crowd, in front of 20,000 spectators, this could have been a 9.5. And here's a little secret for you. These guys were supposed to originally wrestle at SummerSlam, but of course this didn't happen because the fucking pandemic struck. So, that in mind, this match could have been a 9.5 in front of a crowd. Maybe a 10. Not groundbreaking 10, but it was a 10. I mean, it could have been a 10, but I gave it a 9 because we're still fighting in the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. So, I mean, I can't give them no credit. They've already been handicapped. But I think that this is just a very good and excellent match. And yeah, like I said, they semi-half delivered, in my opinion. Not the greatest wrestling match ever, but it was a great match. It was great. I definitely enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. And this was match of the night, clearly. So let's recap real quick. I gave the kickoff match, Apollo Crews versus Andrade, I gave that one a 6. 6 out of 10. I kind of thought that since it's typical fucking kickoff match, it wasn't going to be too spectacular. The triple threat women's tag team match, Bayley and Sasha Banks, and retaining against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and the Iconics. Well, you know, like I said, there was a few missed opportunities here at this point, especially with that botch between Bayley and the referee. I don't know what the fuck that was about, but in any event, semi-car crash match, but it was not that bad. It was watchable. So 6.5 out of 10. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. I was originally going to give this match a 6.0, but I mean a 6 out of 10. But I changed my fucking mind because I realized that Sheamus is just as basic and bland as a fucking as a second coat of white paint. That's how I think about it. I just wasn't interested in it. and I just didn't care. I mean, I'm not I'm not trying to be biased. I just couldn't find any interest, especially the fact that Sheamus would beat Jeff Hardy in this match. So, trust me, the booking does matter when it comes to shit like this. And the booking gets minus points. So, 5.5. Asuka versus Nia Jax in the Raw Women's Championship match. This match gets a 5.5 out of 10 as well. And I could have given it a fucking 0, but since I'm not allowed to be biased, this match could have been in worse shape, but 5.5 out of 10. I just don't like the fact that they're making Nia Jax a woman's version of the Big Show. Don't care for that idea. The 2-on-1 handicap match for the Universal title, Braun Strowman versus The Miz and John Morrison. John Morrison tried his best to make it a wrestling match. Braun Strowman tried to make it as best as he can to make it a brawl. And The Miz just sucks like usual. But this was poopery, just to say it. So 4.5 out of 10. It was just, nah. WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre, the champion, against Bobby Lashley. Drew McIntyre retains against Bobby Lashley with a little bit of a good beginning at the beginning of the match. Got off to a hot start for the first 3 or 4 minutes of the match, but then after that it was just pretty basic. It was nothing too innovative. There was a couple of things going on here and there, a few risque moves, but not enough to be awe-inspiring. Typical shit was bound to happen as soon as Lana came out to ringside, and once she became the distraction, then Drew McIntyre pretty much retained. So I give that one a 7 out of 10. It wasn't that bad, but still, there was a bit of predictability. What the fuck happened between the Raw Tag Team Championship match? We didn't even get a fucking match. We got this shitstorm abyss of shit, crazy shit happening, and we had a really bad Power Ranger fight, or Power Rangers, or VR Troopers, or fucking Masked Rider type shit. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? You want me to start singing the super Ninja Gaiden shit? You want me to do? Shurinja, sa tai sonati kana tayanshida, Shurinja. Yeah, fucking right. I might have fucked that up a bit. I might have fucked up that Super Gaiden theme song there. Forgive me if you speak Japanese. Forgive me. I try to polish up as best as I can. I'll take a look at the Google Translate whenever I get a chance. But bottom line, because I was trying to sing that verse from that Japanese the show that's famous for the Power Rangers. But anyway, clusterfuck. I have no opinion on that. Now, Edge and Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever, was great, but not greatest ever. I mean, I liked the match, though. I liked it. It had its own uniqueness. It had its own style, so to say. But it resembled a good old-fashioned professional wrestling match. And so, to much of my surprise, yes, it did resemble a good old-fashioned wrestling match. And it had some physicality towards it in the wrestling terms. So, yeah, I will give credit to where credit is due. I will say Edge did a superb job, especially after 9 years of ring rust. You think to yourself that he probably can't pull off a match like that, but he fucking did. And that is surprising on its own right. Randy Orton, a lot of people give him shit for bland matches and shit. And you know what? I have given him some sort of criticism before, at least before I started recording this podcast. That yes, Randy Orton is a bit slow, is a bit sluggish, and he makes the fucking match a little black. But in this case, I have to give him credit, because this case he pulled off a fucking hell of a match, And this match was just unbelievable. So, in truth, this match actually stole the show. And I'm glad it did. So, like I said, greatest wrestling match ever. And once again, they're half right and they're half wrong. They're half wrong because of the fact that they're trying to say, oh, this is greater than anything in 130 years of professional wrestling, that this is be the greatest thing that it would ever be in the entire sport. And no, that was not the case. However, this match is going to get huge praise because I think they did whatever they can to make it a wrestling match, to do everything they can, and they actually did it with flying colors. So 9 out of 10. The whole show gets a 6 out of 10. There was some bullshit shit that I didn't like, but match of the night, obviously Edge versus Randy Orton. That was obviously match of the night. 9 out of 10. The whole show gets a 6 out of 10. So, mild thumbs up, so to say. Thumbs in the middle. Thumbs in the middle, the borderline thumbs up. I say more in the middle. But if you want to watch that Edge and Randy Orton match, it's a lot better than the WrestleMania match that they had. I'll tell you that much. So, give them the greatest wrestling match in the history of professional wrestling, huh? So, there you go. There you go, people. I just reviewed WWE Backlash 2020. Hopefully in July 19th, and when Extreme Rules comes around, let's see what happens there. Before we sign off here at the Real Talk podcast, I do have an injury update regarding Edge. According to a report, he has suffered some torn triceps, and depending on the severity of the injury, he could be out 4 to 8 months, and that is definitely not a good sign if he's going to be injured for that long. I believe he was penciled in to wrestle SummerSlam this year, but apparently it looks like plans have changed. So that's an unfortunate situation. I mean, WWE is already star-struck. I mean, their stars have been struck with injuries, and there seems to be a mini pandemic going on in the making regarding injuries. The injury bug has been biting them. Becky Lynch is gone. Roman Reigns gone. Edge is gone. And with these injuries or these situations and Becky Lynch's case is, she's pregnant, and with Roman Reigns' case, he is not coming back until the situation with the COVID-19 pandemic straightens out. Then he'll probably come back to the WWE. But any event, so I hope you guys enjoyed the Backlash 2020 review. Next week, we'll try to review some other shows. Maybe we'll do some AEW and WWE NXT Dynamite NXT situations. We might review some of these shows and see if we could get a guest appearance by somebody, and see if I could do that for next week. Well, I have to test out some equipment, but until then, you don't know what's going to happen. Other than that, we're just going to probably just do some reviews. So, until then, this is Eric Peralta, a.k.a. the Wrestling Enthusiast, reminding you to wash your ass. So, see you guys next week. Until then, bye-bye, everybody.